Not everything about the Fallout universe can be about lore and theories. Sometimes the franchise pisses people off. As to why exactly, that's a bit of a rabbit hole. I'm Mark from Digital Dissection. I typically make Fallout lore videos, but this time we're taking a closer look at moments in the franchise where controversy was center stage. One of Fallout's controversies lived largely within its fandom, as opinions clashed when the franchise was revived with Fallout 3. Naturally, fans new and old converged on the property after being dormant in terms of main entries to its numbered games since 1998, while Fallout 3 abandoned the traditional RPG orientation of its first two games. A first-person experience that still incorporated many of the franchise's skills, perks, and general attitude were historically praised despite being more attractive to a newer audience than perhaps tabletop purists. Fallout 4, however, began a quiet controversy that slowly began to dominate online forums and fan debates, as there were a few sticking points. Fallout New Vegas previous to Fallout 4 was likely the reason, as the immersive game allowed players to impact their settings by being able to influence seemingly every faction you came across. Fallout 4 didn't quite offer the same possibilities, as its smallest factions were almost all instantly hostile, with 3 options to choose from in its largest ones. Impacting the individuals around you was also not the only issue, as dialogue options were critically limited to 4 in each conversation, and many didn't actually have much difference in the larger consequence. Fallout 4 also did away with Bethesda's karma system, making most decisions in any capacity have no traditionally good or bad impact, leading to many players feeling like they played no true role at all. In 2006, Bethesda sold a highly publicized set of horse armor for $2.50 in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, a cosmetic item that in no way enhanced the RPG's experience whatsoever. So you'd think over a decade later they'd have learned something from the process. Yeah, they appeared to have learned absolutely nothing. Fallout 76 introduced the Atomic Shop, a microtransaction storefront offering cosmetic items and emotes. You know, essential and crucially necessary items to any RPG player. Or not. Players slowly began asking if the shop was a joke or not, as Christmas-themed emotes were offered that players could buy, with earned currency in-game or with real-world money. Just like witnessing truly abhorrent behavior, people started asking online if they were seeing the same ridiculousness as everyone else. The controversy continued as Bethesda once stated they'd not offer anything outside non-advantageous items like cosmetics in this store. But over time, the Atomic Shop expanded into weapons and repair kits, making Fallout 76 in the eyes of some players feel more like a pay-to-play experience than ever before. Seriously, can someone advise Bethesda on how to not keep making these errors? Video games aren't meant to be the same in every market or demographic across the world, but societal differences can mean needed censorship in some locations, and awareness of decision-making in others. In the case of Fallout 3, quite a few issues came up in its direction. Initially, the game's depictions of administering chems, or images associated with illicit substances, caused a major issue in being allowed to be distributed in Australia. The Australian Classification Board, or ACB, refused to give the game its authorization, causing a removal of morphine as a chem, and any visual animations to be omitted. The needed changes otherwise would have prevented Fallout 3 to appear in Australia at all, and the entirety of actually physically using chems were adjusted as a result and removed from the game. Additionally, Fallout 3 faced backlash over regional-specific concerns in India due to cultural sensitivity towards its mutated cows known as Brahmin. In Hinduism, Brahmin refers to a social caste called Varna, which produces priests and teachers of sacred law, with cows being viewed as sacred as well. Due to this, Fallout 3 and New Vegas faced bans there. Further omissions also affected Japanese versions of Fallout 3, which removed Megaton's bomb at the center of town, and its optional quest to detonate it for Alistair Tenpenny. It goes without saying that Fallout's merchandising saw a massive boom after 2008's Fallout 3, with action figures, bobbleheads, and eventually, fully wearable props. One of these would take shape in 2019, and as if Fallout 76 didn't already have enough controversy, a T-51B power armor helmet would be yet another black eye for Bethesda. Sold at GameStop locations, in June 2019, the full-scale Nuka-Cola variant helmet was officially recalled due to issues involving mold that formed within its interior, a manufacturing problem that could have possibly impacted up to 20,000 units that were sold. Consumers were immediately recalled to contact GameStop for a full refund, and naturally to never put them on. What we really wish is that this was the only product issue to ever plague a licensed piece of Fallout merch. But don't worry, there's more in this video. While Fallout 3 may have been a major turning point for the franchise, one of its most well-known controversies was actually how it originally ended. At first, the game's final quest involved activating the water purifier for the capital wasteland, but players would need to experience lethal amounts of radiation in order to do so. The Take It Back final story quest upset many players as a result, with the decision officially ending Fallout 3's gameplay. Of course, this was ridiculed due to the fact that Fox, a super mutant impervious to the effects of radiation, was literally right there. Seriously, right there. He'd already demonstrated his ability to withstand radiation earlier at Vault 87, so it made absolutely no sense to not have him do it again without any consequences. The backlash was so intense that it would be retconned in Fallout 3's Broken Steel DLC, a rare situation detailed by Fallout designer Emile Pagliarulo. Let me tell you, players did not like that, and that was really the moment we realized that our fans don't want to play our games, they want to live in the worlds we create. That means their experiences never end, and the content, whatever it is, works together as seamlessly as we can make it. So it at least seems like Bethesda learned a lesson here, but the same can't be said for their merchandising woes, however. Fallout 76 is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of very poor decisions, and if moldy helmets weren't enough, how about blunders with special editions of the game? A $200 collectible version of Fallout 76 called the Power Armor Edition seemed to be a pretty solid value when it was announced to fans. Alongside the game was a T-51 power helmet that fortunately didn't have any mold that we know of, and a canvas bag that would be a perfect fit for a Vault Dweller to use to reclaim the wasteland. Influencers featured the collectible edition, showing off the high-quality items that further made this bundle look like a rare example of special edition games that actually had something worth buying. But when fans got their pre-orders, the canvas bag was actually replaced with nylon, the same material found in car seatbelts. You wouldn't think it at first, but the backlash was immediate, and it might have been exacerbated by how awful Fallout 76 was at launch. But regardless, fans were out for blood and demanded their sweet, sweet canvas. After the mounting pressure to correct the deceptive double switch by Bethesda, they would begin a program to replace the nylon bags with the canvas ones as advertised. They'd finally start actually shipping the promised pre-order bonus 6 months later. They'd even managed to screw this up, however, as those who registered the replacement through Bethesda's website saw their personal information get leaked when uploading it to the program. What an absolute mess. For this segment, we do want to offer a content warning for this controversy, as its images may be disturbing to some viewers. We recommend skipping to the next chapter by using the timestamps in this video's description for those sensitive to the title of this topic. Fallout's world has always been an unforgiving hellscape that features harsh realities of a world ravaged by nuclear war. And the Child Killer perk was one of these supposed ways to showcase such things. Fallout 1 and 2 both featured the perk, where characters would react negatively to the player for dispatching children found across the game. Fallout's original creator Tim Kaine claimed the perk was meant to act as a deterrent more than anything, as activating it would cause the player to encounter many negative effects in-game, from certain characters instantly hating you to bounty hunters coming after the player. The decision was clearly polarizing even with the creative team of the game, as Brian Menza, who created the perk's artwork, immediately realized his mistake. In what he had originally drawn for Fallout 2, an image that he considered to be such a bad idea that once they finished making it, kept it unreleased and changed the artwork direction entirely. We'll reserve most of our judgment here, but when seeing the images for the first time, we have to agree. It's a horrible idea, and future Fallout games wisely decided to not revisit the idea ever again. If there's one thing fans are not happy about, it's to dare change the lore of a beloved property. Fallout's first season on Amazon Prime caused such outrage, not because of the production or the overall vibe of the show, but a critical detail about the home of Fallout's New California Republic, a settlement called Shady Sands. Fans of Fallout's original games will remember Shady Sands well enough, but Amazon's adaptation made it a major point of its events, or rather, events that occurred before the show ever takes place. During a sequence where lead character Lucy McLean gains a brief history lesson, she discovers that Shady Sands was actually wiped out by a nuclear weapon, one that was launched sometime after 2277. Fans immediately took note of this because Fallout New Vegas takes place in 2281. meaning that the events of the game could possibly be at odds with the TV show, depending on when Shady Sands was bombed. Fans of New Vegas felt like the 2010 game was no longer part of the series' larger canon, because some thought the year 2277 was the literal date of when Shady Sands was destroyed. But Bethesda director Todd Howard claims this wasn't the case, and in true Bethesda fashion, left the door open to the events of New Vegas still being important, stating that its branching narratives were meaningful to players and cherished to this day. It could mean, however, that because the game was so open-ended in terms of plot, that the show's inclusion of its setting might make its overall narratives be more vague. We've seen plenty of toxic fandoms in our time. We're looking at you, Star Wars fans. And it would only be fitting that Fallout seems to have some controversy as fan communities collide in an absolutely bizarre way. Fallout Frontier was a massive community-led mod for New Vegas that would have added 100 new quests, 3 new campaigns, voice acting, and would extend beyond New Vegas into Portland, Oregon, rivaling the size of the Mojave Wasteland itself in terms of overall areas to explore. Numerous creators across the Fallout mod community came together to contribute individual pieces to what would truly become an awe-inspiring project in terms of scope. Sounds pretty good, but things didn't exactly work out. While a team of an estimated 30 developers helped to create the project starting in 2014, disagreements over universe lore, project direction, and campaign storytelling led to infighting and eventual leaks from those involved. It might be hard to truly place blame on an individual specific factor, but several anonymous contributors cited a disjointed development process, with many campaign chapters made out of order, leading to major directive changes that made some game footage trailers immediately inaccurate once they were released. In addition, concerns were raised once the mod was launched that it suffered from a lack of diverse characters, amongst possible cringeworthy content involving alleged fetishes around characters' feet, as well as an entire race of lizard people that pretty much are a race of lizards based on the film Caligula, which is a reference I will not be explaining. What's sad is that Frontier tried to do some pretty ambitious things, like climbable ladders, working vehicles, dynamic NPC movements, and massive amounts of weapon and armor. The downside was this came along with odd choices like enslaving specific characters for adult purposes, made worse by one developer named Zoo the Skunk, who in particular posted animated pet content on their personal art accounts. Regardless, Fallout Frontier seemed to crush under its own weight, sparking drama between the extensive Fallout mod community, as the lukewarm reception to Frontier's ambition caused it to be pulled shortly after its release to remove some of its largest grievances. It would be pulled for good, however, when the development team would gradually fall apart, and rifts having formed between its creators and TK's Mantis, a large Fallout lore and video content creator who was banned from its creative team and an associated Discord over disagreements. While some fans were happy with what was essentially a large-scale passion project, Fallout Frontier remains as a schism within a community that has existed for a very long period of time, and many within it are still looking for answers, as several revivals have been attempted in 2023 and 2024. We guess group projects just aren't for everyone. And with that, we thank you for joining us as we explored controversies across the Fallout franchise. Are there any controversies of note that we missed? Let us know in the comments. And for more content from the world of Fallout, check out additional videos linked here, where you can find more about specific topics from the series. And until next time, pop culture nerds, keep on dissecting. This is Mark signing off.